2. Hi, it's Charlene Tinjenko from Powerhouse Media Group. Thanks so much for being here. And we're really pleased to extend our Accessible Media series this morning. I've got a special guest coming to you from Calgary this morning. Pleased to welcome Cassie Hawrysh. And Cassie is a thought leader. She's a professional speaker, and she's a former professional athlete. Cassie is actually one of our guest speakers coming up at the Calgary PowHERlunch on October 18. So we're really excited to have you here with us this morning. Cassie, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here virtually.
Virtually. I know, it's great to have a conversation. So great. The reason why we're checking in this morning, and just with a little message for Canadian women, is I'll read you a little bit about Cassie's bio, and then I think you'll see where it fits into our fall campaign that we've been talking about, that is called Punt It to the Penthouse, and our belief that exploring what is it that women need to continually rise, to continually seeking their fullest potential with support, with confidence, through communicating with each other. So we're really digging into it this fall. And Cassie has a BA in journalism. She was half of a decade she spent as a member of the Canadian National Skeleton Team. And she's no stranger to the world of high performance goal setting and achievement. And we're thrilled to have her join us for the Calgary PowHERlunch. Writing, motivational speaking, photography, and fitness are among her many passions, and that fills her fast-paced life. She likes to keep her pulse on new and exciting trends, and she is an enthusiastic, quick-witted, and authentic woman who inspires those around her to push towards their greatness. So Cassie, I'm wondering if you could pick up on that. I love your bio, and just tell us a little more about you and why that is your bio, why that's important to you.
You know, honestly, I grew up in Brandon, Manitoba, so a small city. We'd like to think we're bigger than we are, but honestly, I always had such big dreams, and that came because I had such fantastic parents who never let me question the idea of the possibility. And as such, that's why my bio reads so long. It's like a long run-on sentence, but and I'm only in my 30s now, so I'd like to think that bio will just get better. But for me, totally. It's always been that idea of the possibility, and why not try? Because, you know, like, who's to say that it can't, whatever it is that I was going after or I'm going after right now at any point in my life, why not me?
Yeah, exactly. I so appreciate your parents. Like, I so appreciate who your parents are. And I got to say, I have met some, you know, absolutely incredible women, like right around their 30s. And I find it fascinating a lot of times how sport tends to help catapult women into that next, you know, you learn what it takes to excel in sport, and then it just kind of sets the, you know, the consistency, the dedication, the work ethic, the confidence, you know what it takes to excel in other areas of your life. And I wondered if you could touch on briefly, just, you know, a couple of your memories from sport and how that has now transitioned you to where you want to go, and the role model that you want to be in you know, in Canada and internationally, quite frankly.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I find I get from a lot of business leaders in particular, they have a hard time imagining that, you know, a high performance athlete, you know, en route to the Olympics, like, how is that like me? They'd say, like, it's so far off the spectrum. But what I've realized is that it isn't. Anything at that high level is relatable. And I think of a story, the first time I made the World Cup team, and my very first race was in Lake Placid, New York in 2011-12 season. And I remember, I mean, I'd been sliding at that point for 4 years, and that was my first World Cup event. I was so nervous, and there were so many people, and there were cameras, and all these new and exciting and terrifying things happening. But being able to realize that I belonged there and having the people around me remind me of those things really allowed me to step into that reality and that authentic truth of my own and say, like, this is where I belong. And that's how you get ahead in any version of your life, whether it's in business or in sport, is that belief and being able to, you know, just as you're about to get to that edge, like step towards it, not away from it, that kind of thing. And I think that for me, every single story that I'd ever tell you has that same element of being able to get over that line of confidence, where if you went the other way, you know, it wouldn't have happened. But if you went to, you know, you passed the line and you crossed over the other side, then the possibility exists. And in many cases, it absolutely, you were right to believe that you could do it.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so great to hear you say that, because I think sometimes people assume that when you're a high level athlete or you're a CEO or you're pictured like that, you're there, that those feelings of total fear and like super nervous and nerves and scared as, you know, all get out, doesn't exist. But the fact of the matter, it does. And so I'm curious if there's especially young women listening to this. What would you say to them around pushing towards that edge and being a bit scared at the same time? How do you maneuver that? How do you manage that?
I think, so I will also notice there's probably a few people watching right now that don't know I did skeleton. So that's the head first winter sport, the one that everyone always assumes we're super crazy. I always like to say that we're actually brave, not crazy. But to that end, whether you're doing something that seems crazy to everyone else or just crazy to yourself, the biggest thing for me is that you're never going to stop having those conversations with yourself where you're going to doubt yourself. And that's okay. So I like to remind people and myself every single day that those conversations are happening and it's okay to acknowledge them, but you have to decide whether or not having those conversations is worthwhile. You know, tell yourself what you would tell your best friend. Why are you saying the things that are negative or not going to put you where you want to be? So that's usually how I navigate it. And that's probably the smallest way to explain it. There's lots of other tools and tricks that I've learned along the way, but for me, it's just that conversation and being aware of that conversation, which one we're having with ourselves, because no matter what you're going after, you need to be your biggest supporter. The people around you are super crucial, and I also encourage people to pay attention to who those people are. But at the end of the day, you're the person who's going to spend the most time with you. So, it's best to have the most positive version of yourself with you.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, it's interesting what you said about it was the people around you and your team that you started to realize because of them. Yeah, you know what? I do belong here. And I think it's that same principle that we're underlying through the work that we're doing through PowHERhouse. A lot of times when we're speaking to women and we're interacting with women, they're surprised, like they almost, first of all, don't self-identify as a powerhouse. And it's like, well, what do you mean? Like you're doing some amazing things. You're an amazing woman. And no matter where you are on the spectrum of your life, whether you're in your 20s or you're in your 60s, you have so much to offer and you're so much to share. And when they start to self-identify as a powerhouse, and they start to step into it and they realize that there's a whole supportive community and a collective that will support them and is there for them. I think that's really cool because that sounds like what happened with you and your team. And that's the same kind of environment that we're creating as well. Very cool.
Absolutely. I think of all the cultures that, really have the grandmother as the pillar of everything, of the family, of all the decisions that everyone's making, and that we should take something from that. I mean, women in our world at every level have a lot to bring, and I think that we need to start going towards one another with questions instead of, that magnetic effect, the opposite, like we're pushing against, like turn the magnet around. You guys will attract a lot of greatness that way.
Totally. Well, we're absolutely thrilled to have you join us at our Power Lunch in Calgary on October 18 at Char Bar. And for those people that don't know what a Power Lunch is, basically the work that we do through Powerhouse Media, primarily it is online. We're connecting with the most powerful women across Canada. However, we are lucky enough to go into certain cities and we create opportunities and a call out to 50 of the city's most powerful women who self-identify, are attracted to come and have lunch with other like-minded women. When we get the women in the door, the titles go out the door. And so literally you're sitting in an intimate setting with 50 other powerful women for some inspiration from guest speakers like Cassie. You're having some high caliber conversation and you're building deeper relationships. You're really getting into some quality conversation about what's holding you back, what's moving you forward, what you need, what you're all about. And Cassie, I know that you're an extremely busy woman, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being part of the lunch, but I also want to ask you, like, we get invitations all the time that fill up our calendars. So if you know what we're up to in Calgary, why would you encourage women who self-identify or have an interest flicker about this? Why would you encourage them to come?
Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's just perspective. It's a perspective that you're going to gain from an event like this that you wouldn't otherwise get. I mean, I get invited to lots of larger events where you're gonna hear and see some really incredible speakers. But I look at this list and I say, you're getting great access to myself and the other speakers, as well as everyone in the room. This isn't just about us. This is about everyone being able, you're sitting with at tables. You have literally an afternoon to speak to these people in a one-on-one format that is different than most high performing situations and the caliber of women that would be in that room. So to be able to create those real tangible relationships in that type of setting is for me what makes this stand out.
Yeah, thank you. And I think providing an opportunity to have access is really important to us. We tend to keep our RSVP list updated on our website. So as women register, they can see ahead of time who's going to be in the room and strategically start to decide, who they want to approach, who they want to have conversations with. So we really do try to keep it intimate and doable, is simple and casual as well. Cassie and I have been brainstorming and exploring also around the Calgary Women's Show. We will not be making any official announcements yet, but I don't know if there's anything you want to say about it, Cassie, but we are at the Calgary Women's Show the following weekend, the 21st and 22nd. Cassie's a big part of it. And yeah, we're pretty excited. There'll be an official press release coming out shortly. But if you haven't been to the Calgary Women's Show, you want to meet Powerhouse, you want to come and meet Cassie, this would be the year to come because we are going to have a really epic time. We're going to have some fun, and we're there to meet the powerful women of Calgary.
Yeah, and I think that without giving too much away, everything that we're creating, there's going to be a lot of those women there for sure. So we have this lunch and that's awesome, but this is going to be another opportunity and even more informal to just rub shoulders and maybe, get in the mix with everybody else. That's as much as I'll say.
That's right. So stay tuned for further announcements, and we'll be sure to post the event information for our lunch. Thank you again, Cassie, for being part of building strong women in Canada and everything that you're up to in the world, all the epic work you're up to. We recognize you as a powerhouse and we celebrate you. Thank you.
And all of you. Thank you.
Take care.